Hello, welcome to Outdoor Skills 101 for Backpacks to Bears.
This is our final episode and we're going to be talking about how to backpack. My name's Maddie, I'm a senior trip leader for the Outdoor Adventures program.
And I'm Aaron, I'm also a trip leader for the outdoor program.
Let's get started.
So, what is backpacking? Backpacking is being self-sustainable and carrying everything you need to camp in your backpack. This includes your tent, sleeping bag, clothes, cooking wear, and potentially even food and water.
So backpacking is really focused on the journey versus where you're going. And so you want to make sure that you have that in mind when you're planning your route. Are you looking for a more like scenic hike, or are you looking for more of a challenge? And so you can definitely talk to the park or wherever you're backpacking to discuss that with them, or even just look at a map and decide on your own. But a lot of times your route is going to be based off of where your permit is. So you have to have a permit to go backpacking. And so that's usually done by campsite, like you're allowed to stay at these campsites, these nights. And so that might affect how you plan your route. And a permit can also be defined by how many people you have, what time of year it is, and they can usually be reserved either by a walk-in, like just showing up to the park the day before, or it's going to be a few months in advance. There's no right or wrong answer when it comes to what kind of gear you should bring. Generally, it's what are you most comfortable with and what does your trip require of you. So when it comes to sleeping bags, you definitely want to make sure like, hey, this like it's going to be this cold or this hot. That's the kind of sleeping bag I should bring. And then tents, like depending on how many people you have, how like sheltered you want to be when it comes to night. If you don't want to do a tent, you can sub it for a hammock system where you have a hammock, a bug net, and kind of like a rain fly so you don't get wet during the night. And then backpacks are really just for like what's most comfortable on you. Do you want more padding? Do you want a certain size backpack? It's really a person by person basis. So what should you wear when you backpack? Generally, you want to wear what you're comfortable being in. You're going to be moving a lot and things are going to be rubbing a lot when you're backpacking. And so you want to make sure that what you're wearing is something you've worn before and that you're really comfortable in. So that could be a short sleeve, a long sleeve, it could be a dry fit shirt, it could be shorts, it could be pants. You just want to make sure that what you're wearing, you can wear for multiple days and do a lot of activities in without being uncomfortable. You also want to make sure you stay away from cotton. So cotton, when it gets wet, it takes a long time to dry. And if you only have one set of clothes, that can make for a really uncomfortable backpacking trip. So arguably one of the most important parts of getting ready for your backpacking trip is making sure you have everything you need. And so what we like to do before we go on trips is called a shakedown. We take everything out of our backpack and we make sure all that we have is exactly what we need and we're not being superfluous in some of the things we have. Like we don't have a change of clothes for every day. We have maybe what we're wearing and another change of clothes in case this gets wet or like super dirty. So I've taken everything out of my backpack and I go, okay, what do I need? I've got my tent, I've got my sleeping bag, which are vital parts of backpacking, and then I've got my stove and my cookware and my water filter. All of these are things that I should need, and for the purposes of this, that's all I'm gonna need for this entire trip. And so when packing my backpack, I want all of my weight, like all my heaviest stuff, I want to be closest to my back. I want it to be kind of like it's a part of my body, and I don't want things like too heavy up here or too heavy down here that are gonna weight me in like really weird ways. So if I'm walking up a hill, I'm being pulled down. And so the way we're gonna do that is we're gonna open this up and we're gonna get our heaviest things, which in this case are gonna be my tent and my sleeping bag. And so I'm gonna take my tent, I'm gonna put it in, and I'm gonna make sure it's towards the back of the backpack, towards my back. And then I'll get my sleeping bag and I'll kind of slide that in next to it. And then because I don't need these things until I get to my campsite, it's okay that they're at the bottom of my backpack because I won't need them during my hike. My cookware I won't need until dinner because at lunch, ideally, I'm having something like really quick and easy. So I'll put that in next. And then things like my water filter, or if I had a first aid kit, which I should always have, and all of my like snacks and food and my map, they're gonna go towards the top of my pack or in an easy access area because that's something I'll probably need during my hike, and I don't wanna take everything out of my backpack when I'm trying to find those things. So I'll put my water filter at the top, and then I'm gonna close my backpack. So, we'll close my backpack. And then I want things to be as tight and compact as possible. I don't want things like flying around. And so all of these cinch straps on the side of my backpack, I'll put them together. And so I'll close this up. And then since this is kind of loose, I'll kind of tighten that a bit. I've got some loose straps right here, so I'll go ahead and close those. And this will also help if you have any extra air or space in your backpack. This will also help kind of like compact it more. So I'll cinch that up. I got one on this side, and so I'll cinch that up as well. And we're ready to go. Ideally, I don't want anything hanging from my backpack, so if everything doesn't fit, I don't want things like hanging from my straps or hanging like just down here. I don't want any of that, because when I'm walking, if I like turn too fast, depending on how heavy it is, it might like swing me off the trail and into someone else or hit someone else, and that's no good. And so now I'm ready to hike. And some other easy access areas other than the body of my backpack is going to be up here. This is called the brain. And there's like a zipper right here that I can easily access things, or some of my hiking partners can also access. And then usually there's pockets right here in your backpack that you can access, or your water bottle pockets that you can access.
Like other outdoor activities, water is essential in all of the things you do, because dehydration can mess up an entire trip. So it's important to plan your trip around clean water sources that you can potentially filter from, using the 4 methods of filtration. Mechanical, using a physical filter like this that uses carbon filtering. Boiling, which is going to be most common in backpacking trips. Chemical, using iodine tablets. And then UV, using special UV water bottles. So where you get your water is important. So you don't want to choose a stagnant small puddle, because that could be teeming with bacteria that could be harmful for you on the trip. What you want is a cool, moving, fresh, clear water source like a river and a spring, rather than a lake or a pond. And now we are going to demonstrate the 7 principles of Leave No Trace. The first principle is plan ahead and prepare. Adequate trip planning and preparation can help you accomplish trip goals safely and enjoyably, while simultaneously minimizing damages to the land. This includes knowing your routes and packing all the gear necessary for the activities in store. Missing or misplaced gear can lead to improper improvisation that could damage the environment around you. Next is travel and camp on durable surfaces. This means using the provided trail and not straying from it. Tall grass, thick brush, or any environment that can be trampled should not be used as a campsite to minimize our impact on the environment. Look for open, flat areas and never use the same spot twice in a trip. Dispose of waste properly is an important principle. On backpacking trips, you will produce waste, whether it be trash or human waste. This waste can't be left behind. Trash can be stored in your backpack and disposed after camping, and human waste can be disposed of by digging a 6-inch deep hole to bury it and packing out the toilet paper. After that is leave what you find. It is important to not disturb the environment by digging holes, building lean-tos, chopping trees for wood, or even taking souvenirs like rocks or cool fossils. This can disrupt animals' habitats and put a strain on the environment. For minimized campfire impacts, you can refer to the previous video we made on building campfires. Respect wildlife includes giving them proper distance to avoid stressing or disturbing them, keeping noise to a reasonable level, and not leaving your food out or intentionally feeding them. Lastly, be considerate of others. Be mindful of other campers' space and avoid being excessively loud with music or activities. Camp a good distance from others, or at minimum be out of eyesight. Try not to crowd trails and always allow the people hiking uphill to pass. Thank you for joining us on our last episode of Outdoor Skills 101 from Backpacks to Bears.
Stay tuned for any future updates to our trip schedule, and if you have any more questions concerning on how you should take trips or be in the outdoors, feel free to contact the program. I'm Maddie.
I'm Aaron.
And thank you for joining us for these last 4 episodes on how to be in the outdoors.
Missing someone. Missing someone. Missing someone.